problem that I have with many Nano Banana content creators and examples that I've seen is that none of them really dive into the specific use cases that business owners have on a day-to-day basis. So in this video, I've built a system, an automation that allows us to test different models against each other with very specific prompts based on real life use cases of automations we've built for clients, and ensuring that each prompt is exactly the same in terms of how it is used and put into the system. That way we can see very easily which models are performing the best. So today we're using two different models. We're going to be diving into Nano Banana versus GPT Image 1. We're going to test them against each other, and I'm using an automation that looks like this. So we've got a few different routes here for the different type of models that we require. And we're using fowl.ai for the Nano Banana component of this. And then we're obviously using OpenAI for the ChatGPT Image 1 version of this. And the way that this workflow is structured is that we can simply add in our AI image models into this tab. Anytime there's a new image model, I simply just come up to this button up the top here, add the new image model. So I'm going to give it the name. I'm going to choose what brand it comes from. We can add in the cost there as well. And I'm specifically interested in image to image types of workflows, because these are the ones that we can build really solid workflows for clients, for businesses, using the examples of the creatives that they currently have in their workflows already, so we can match them to be as close as possible. So you can see here, we've already got Nano Banana and GPT Image 1, so we don't need to add anything in. When I was doing some testing, I did use Flux SRPO image to image. Didn't really work that well. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Next, we then have our prompts. So we have three different prompts that we're going to be using. The first one is for a beauty company. So we are going to create a portrait of a 30-year-old Eastern European woman using this image, this product here. So this is just an example makeup product, but we did build a workflow like this for a client in the last few months, where we don't want the AI to regenerate the product itself, but we want to show the product on the avatar of their particular company. So this one's going to use that product on a 30-year-old Eastern European woman. So we should see that product, like the result of that product on top of her. The next one is for a burger company. So we're going to take this burger, we're going to create a luxury burger, vibrant toppings layered precisely, deconstructed midair for a dramatic floating effect. So we've got a few extra details around that, but that's what we're going to be turning this burger into. And then we're going to create a news announcement post. So you probably see these type of style all over Instagram. So we just made up a news announcement. We made up an AI model to use this, and we've built this for a number of companies now, including our own. And we're going to ask it to use this as a reference and regenerate this image with the new article content, as you see here. So eventually that's all going to come into here. And this was what we got with Flux. So as you can see, Flux did not follow these at all. It's all pretty terrible. We've got the burger, we've got the woman I don't even know what happened with that one. And then of course, like Flux can't get the text correct. So all of those basically get a low rating, and we're going to rate ChatGPT versus Nano Banana now. So in order to get this started, then we can simply just come in and we're going to choose, let's start with GPT Image 1. So we're just going to add that image into each of these, and then we're going to click Generate Image. So it's going to run off into the automation. Let's get all of them running now. And that's going to take a minute or two in order to generate, and they will eventually start coming into this AI output field here. So the main thing that I wanted to build in this testing environment was to make sure that we have the same variables every single time when we are testing new models. This is the most important way to understand whether a model is better or not, because there's so much hype online when it comes to new tools, new image models, new AI models, and everything feels like it's the next best thing, but often it's not. And as business owners, you don't want to be wasting your time testing all of these new tools that come out all the time if they're not actually going to help you move the needle, if they're not going to improve your outputs, if they're not going to be maybe a little bit cheaper in costs, as well as the quality going up, or if they're just going to waste your time. Like, you just don't want to be spending your time doing that. So building these types of test environments is going to be super valuable for you, which means anytime there's a new model coming out in future, we're going to run that through this exact test. So if you are someone who wants really reliable information on whether these new models are going to be valuable for you or not, then I'd suggest you subscribe. So let's dive back into this workflow now. We've got our first couple. So we're going to open this one up. So then this is obviously the beauty one. And you can see here around the eyes, it now has that product displayed around there quite nicely. So I think that's followed the prompt quite well. I would say like down the bottom of the image, it looks a little bit too plastic. Like I think it could maybe be a little bit more realistic. But overall, I mean, it's the prompt correct in the fact that we wanted around the eyes to be using that product. So overall, it's pretty decent. Like I don't know what to rate it yet. Like let's just give it a 7 because obviously there's always room for improvement. But we'll maybe come back and compare that against the next one. Next, we then have the burger. So remember, we wanted it deconstructed in the air. So I do like this, like maybe the background is a little bit too dark, but we've got the bun up here. It seems to be pretty good. We've got a nice piece of bacon there. It's got some sauce and some cheese. The cheese is melting a little bit. That looks a little bit more juicy. The onion there looks, I mean, that's almost looks like too polished, but overall, I think it's pretty good. And then more sauce down the bottom. So I do like that. I think that's also a really solid generation. Let's give that like an 8 as well. Then we've got this one here. So this is then taking the example of the news announcement post. It's got all of the text right. I think redefining, yeah, all the text is very accurate. The colors are definitely off compared to the example. However, in the prompt, we didn't actually state what colors to use. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's incorrect. It is a little bit more crisp than the version that I added in there. So I do like that. And overall, I think that's pretty solid as well. So it's probably like another 8. So you could definitely improve that if you wanted different colors for the text and give it actual specifics. But overall, I think that was GPT image 1, pretty solid outputs from there. Now let's change these to Nano Banana and we're just going to run them all again. Now I will say Nano Banana was much faster. I reckon that was probably 25% of the time that it took to generate that in comparison to the previous version. Now this one looks, I mean, it still looks great. It's got the prompt right in the fact that we want the around the eyes section to be using that product. Again, it's probably the same where it looks very plastic down the bottom and it's almost like too polished. Like this is like perfect skin, right? Whereas if we look back at this other one, at least it was a bit more natural. It's like showing some wrinkles and like different lines around the eyes a little bit. So I'd say that's a bit more natural. But overall, like you can see how close both of them are compared to each other. So I think they're both pretty solid. I think it'd be unfair to rate it much lower. So where we give this one a 7, yeah, I think we have to give this one a 7 as well. Like I think that's pretty solid. Now the burger, well, I really like that. Like I like the smoky background there. It's not too dark. So we've got the bacon, we've got double cheese in this one. So I don't know what happened there, but I mean, I love double cheese on my burgers, so I'm not against it, but I'm not sure it's really following what we had in the prompt. So it's maybe missed that, but we then have the cheese on top of the burger. We've got the onion, we've got the tomato, and we've got the lettuce with some extra sauce. So overall, I like the floating design of this one a lot better. I would say that this one makes it look a whole lot more juicy. It's got different sauces, top and bottom. It's just one piece of cheese, so that's quite accurate. But it has its other benefits, right? So if I was using this in production, I would say I'd probably regenerate this a couple of times and see if we can get the cheese accurate. But it's very hard, again, to say that that's any worse. Like, I think this is pretty level in terms of the playing field here for both of these. So yeah, very cool. Then we have this final one. So now, all right, first thing that obviously stands out is the text. So also that could be based on my input. So the input that I gave actually had text that had a few weird letters like this that stood out. Again, you could prompt this out. It does have like 2 colons here, which I don't like. So that's one downside. And obviously like the way that they structure text on ChatGPT is way better. So I don't think we can give it the same as previous. It's also just not as crisp. So I think like when it comes to this, so I would say call this like generating text. Nano Banana just isn't really matching ChatGPT just yet. Like that one is way more crisp. So, I mean, I'm torn between like a 6 and a 7. Like I'll give it a 7, but it could be like more of a 6.5. We are actually, for our internal one, we are actually using Nano Banana, but seeing this side by side, then I may look at switching that over and using GPT. So the obviously the downside of using GPT image 1 is that the costs are slightly higher. And I mean like 4 times higher. Now I think like too many people obsess over cost way too much. Like the way that I look at this is if we were to use that last scenario, if we were using Nano Banana, we'd maybe have to generate that image 4 or 5 times to get an actual version that we're happy to put out online. Whereas if GPT image 1 can actually get it maybe first go or second go, then overall you're going to be saving money, even though the cost is 4 times more. So you always got to look at, you should never look at like cheapest cost in anything ever. It's always like there's a benefit to paying more sometimes versus paying little or nothing at all and then having subpar products or subpar results that you just can't put out that are not going to get you results as well. So I never look at cost. I always look at quality per output, or like cost per output that actually gets used. That's the best metric to focus on. So overall, that was the tests for Nano Banana versus ChatGPT Image 1. Now, as I mentioned, we will be testing all of the most important models that come out over time as well. So if there's another model that you want to test against for these tools, then comment that below and I'll make sure I do a video on that next. If you are interested in more tools reviews and how to implement AI into your workflow, make sure you watch this video next.